Hey guys, what's happening? It is really good to be back. I've taken a couple of weeks off of the live stream, and and I just needed to. That first week, I had caught the flu, and I was no good to myself or anybody else. And then, I'd already scheduled for a knee operation, which actually occurred last Monday. So I've been recovering for the last week, and as I get every day gets a little bit better. I am still kind of limping around. I would say a couple of days ago I was hobbling around. I'm not on crutches now, and so anyway, things are turning out a little bit better every day. Trying to not take the medication that they gave. So first of all, I only took 2 or 3 of the pain pills, and mainly to help me sleep. But they've also given me some anti-inflammatories, and I'm trying not to take those, but they do certainly curb the pain. When I'm walking around and things like that. So I'm still taking those anti-inflammatories, but that's not a big deal. They are not habit forming the way I understand it. So it's good to see you guys. Or good to at least be on here with you. And tonight, I think we're going to talk about something kind of fun. It's Warren Buffett's 8. What is it? What did I call this? Trying to think of where. Oh, Warren. Yeah, Buffett's tips for not going broke. I saw that in an article, and I thought, man, those actually, and it's not like he sat down and they had an interview. They basically pulled that from several of his talks, and I think kind of putting it all together makes a lot of sense. So I thought I'd share that tonight, talk about it, how maybe it has impacted me, and get some thoughts from you guys on which ones of those are you following, which ones are you not? Do you agree with them? Do you disagree with them? So maybe we can have a discussion about that tonight. But before we get too far along, let's see who all is on the program. We got my buddy Pat, and yes, I am glad to see we're going online tonight too, my friend. It's good to see you. Steve C has made up a song, and I think it's the Battle Hymn of the Republic or something like that. The bees go buzzing one by one, hurrah, hurrah. So great job, man. I don't know how long it took you to work that up, but it probably maybe just came to you in a vision or something like that. So, hey, thanks for the song, man. That's great. So speaking of the bees, I checked on the bees today. It was in the, I don't know, it was in the high 50s for sure. It might have hit 60 degrees today. The bees were out buzzing. They, when it gets above 54, 55 degrees, you probably see them out. The concern I have is that they have enough stores for the winter, and the longer it stays warm, the harder it is to make sure that they have enough food for the winter because they're out moving around, as opposed to when it's cold, they're kind of clustered and, not using a lot of resources. So I fed the bees today, and so that's a good thing. I like to make sure they have something to eat. Give them a little smorgasbord. I can't think of a B word, but anyway, that's what I did. All right. Let's see who all's on. We got Shannon. Shannon, are you back yet from your trip to Texas? So, yeah, this knee surgery probably kept me from meeting you here in Alabama somewhere. But anyway, just wondered if you were back or on your way back even. All right, we got a good question here from Pat. Pat, I'm going to come back to that here in just a minute. We got ex-dividend dad, X to the what, X to the who, ex-dividend dad in the house. It's good to see you tonight, ex-dividend dad. I know things are a little bit challenging around your house. It's probably good, though, to get a little bit of, what is this called, when you kind of disengage from the things of the world and you can just have a little fun. So hopefully that's what we're going to do tonight. And yeah, Pat, I actually feel pretty good. I mean, it is pain. There is some pain, but it's not definitely not a problem. Uh, and the pain really comes from the swelling. And each day, I think that swelling goes down, and it helps. So I am doing physical therapy. I went last week, and then I've got another appointment in the morning. So so I went to physical therapy on Thursday, and they had me on this machine, and it was working that knee pretty good. And they said, "Hey, how do you feel?" I said, "Man, it hurts." And they said, "Well, that's normal." So the way I interpreted that was, "Stop being a baby." So anyway, so yeah, sorry to hear about the knee. Glad to see the hat still fits. Yeah, the knee is swollen, but the head is not. So especially with the way the market's going, there's no way to swell the head on where this market's going. El Dynamico is with us tonight. Good to see you, Antonio. Bernard is in the house. Awesome, man. Rust Moments is here. Good to see you, buddy. Oh, man, my friend Billy Johnson says he's working on his rental here, putting granite in. Man, I appreciate you saying that, Billy. It's being missed by a lot of people. It's probably, maybe 10 or 12, but that's a lot in my book. So, but I appreciate you saying that, man. I appreciate that so much. Slammer 6789 is in the house. Steve said he stole that song from the web. That's good, man. Fast Eddie is here. And yeah, Shannon is back. Yeah, we ought to connect sometime soon. I mean, you're only 4 hours away. I do come through Atlanta if I'm either going to my father-in-law's or going to the beach. So, maybe we can connect for a coffee or something at some point if I'm heading through there or if you're heading this way. That'd be awesome, man. Yeah, the proverbial to see you. I get it, El Dynamico. Way to go, man. All right, so let's without further ado, let's get into these Warren Buffett things. And they were meaningful to me, so I thought I would share them with you tonight. Let's get El Dynamico off the screen and put this. Let me shrink this down so that maybe you can see it a little bit better. So Buffett's tips for not going broke. Here we go. You guys ready? 8 tips for not going broke. First one is really important, and that is to live below your means. So what does it mean to live below your means? It means that you don't spend more than the money you're bringing into your bank account. And one way to do that, and one way that I highly recommend, is that you set up a budget. And, there's all kinds of tools out there. There's all kinds of apps out there. There's spreadsheets. We have, in this day and age, we have no excuse for not setting up a budget to run our household. And if we're not doing that, then we can't be consistent. We can't be consistently investing, because if we're living above our means and borrowing money on a credit card to pay for our expenses, how do we feel good about investing? I don't get that. So living below your means, maybe I'll just share that the app that I use for budgeting is called YNAB, and it stands for You Need a Budget. It's called YNAB. It is a paid app. So, but I will tell you that, and I don't know how much it is now. It's probably, I don't know, $100, $110 a year. So like $10 a month or something like that. But, I'll tell you that it gives me enough insight into my spending that I save that $10 without any problem in the budget. So it's not, it's not just how much does it cost, but how much does it save, right? So live below your means. The way to do that is to have a budget, and then also to hold yourself accountable to that budget. And if you can't hold yourself accountable, find an accountability partner, someone, if you're married, maybe it's your spouse. If you are not married, maybe it's someone that you trust a lot. because they need to kind of be involved in what you're spending on, and to kind of hold you accountable to that. So this is a pretty serious one. And I think it's extremely important that we live below our means. So what's number 2? Save before you spend. One of the things what we used to call this back in the old days, which is, when I started doing this, is pay yourself first. So, when you think about living below your means and you think about what goes into the bank account, the first thing that should come out of your bank account and into some type of investment vehicle is a savings program, some savings amount. And you can determine what that is. We chose to do 10% early on. And then as, kids began to graduate from high school, I bumped that to about 15%. And we have plenty of money to retire on. So, but you can't get there unless you budget, right? So pay yourself first, and then whatever's left is what money you have to budget with. Not, you don't look at the gross, you don't look at the net, you look at the net minus what your savings is, and that's what you get to live on, and hold yourself to it. Number 3 is understand what you invest in. And, to be honest, that's really what this channel is about. I use a model that I call the 5-pillar model. I look for the financials of a company to understand how solid the balance sheet is, the strength of their cash flow and things like that. So, you look at the financial picture. So that's item number 1. Item number 2 is what their capital allocation looks like. How are they allocating any extra capital that they have left over? Are they doing well with that? Are they making money with that? Return on invested capital is something that I like to look at because it gives me a sense for how well the management team is reinvesting their capital. Thirdly, what is the valuation, right? What's the company worth? And then fourthly, I like to understand the strategy of the company. Is the strategy going to be a good long-term, or is it a short-term strategy? Are they going to have any risks, any issues coming up? And then fifthly, but it's not least, it's certainly a big key, is the management team and understanding how well the management team performs. I have an investment that I kind of misread the management team. It's and we'll talk about it maybe a little bit later, but so understanding what you're investing in is a key, and it's an important factor in not going broke, right? Item number 4, we're halfway through, is avoid high interest debt. So let's take this, think of it this way. Typically, you will get lower interest debt on items that grow in value. So if you've got, a home, if you've got rental property, things that will actually increase in value over time, the banks see that as a lower risk, and therefore your interest rates will be lower for those types of properties. And so, those are the things that if you're going to borrow money, and Dave Ramsey doesn't want you to borrow money for anything except a home. But if you maybe you don't go by Dave Ramsey's rules, right? Maybe you just try to think about this logically. And if you think about it in terms of avoiding high interest debt, I think that'll carry a lot of weight for you, because it's going to force you, if you're going to borrow money, to borrow money on things that are going to grow in value. Conversely, things that are deteriorating in value will typically not have low interest rates. They're going to be higher interest rates. Examples of that are vehicles, because they are, as soon as you drive a car off the lot, you're going to lose 20%. I mean, as soon as you hit the curb, going out of the parking lot, it is worth 20% or so less than when you bought it. So there's a lot of risk there, for the institution that's loaning the money on it. Those interest rates are going to be higher. Another one is credit cards. So if you are buying consumables on credit cards, you're not paying those credit cards off every month. That's going to cause you to be paying a lot of interest on that high interest debt. So avoid high interest debt. Item number 5, focus on long-term investments. And this may be the one that is going to be the most challenging in a group like this, because I know a lot of my friends are momentum investors. They they follow the charts. They're looking for what's going to go up tomorrow. And at the end of the day, as investors, we should be really looking at what's going to go up in the long term. And, maybe we can have a discussion about that. But anyway, Warren Buffett says, focus on long-term investments. It seems to have worked out pretty good for him. I still not sure he's going to have enough to survive, through the rest of his retirement. It'll be close. Of course, I'm joking. Number 6, don't spend your profits, reinvest them. So if you are making money on your investments, don't take it out to buy a new vehicle. Reinvest those profits. Buy your vehicle out of your budget. Cut things out of your budget that can, get you the vehicle that, if it can't get you the vehicle you want, maybe it's going to get you the vehicle you need. So don't spend your profits, reinvest them. Number 7 is guard against inflation. And I think this is a good point, because inflation really eats away at our spending power. So if inflation is going up, I think last I saw it's like 2.5, 2.8, something like that percent. So every year, the cost of things that we buy is going to go up by 3%. So if our investments produce a return equal to 3%, then we basically have broken even. We will have the income from the investments, but the cost of what we buy is going to go up as well. So guard against inflation. I like to think of my dividends and the growth in my dividend income as a hedge against inflation, because I'm looking for companies who grow their dividends consistently every year in a nice pattern. And by doing that, I think that they will grow in excess even of inflation. So that's the way I guard against inflation. Lastly, invest in yourself. And this is key. I like to think of this as, let's say you've got this big underground swimming pool, or in-ground swimming pool, not underground, in-ground swimming pool. You're trying to fill up, right? You need a lot of water. So if you, if you haven't really invested in the hose, and let's say the hose is you, and your capabilities, trying to make an analogy here between the water hose and your capabilities. If your capabilities are the size of a garden hose, you hook it up to the house water and you start filling that up. It will take a long time to do that. But as you invest in yourself, the size of your water hose gets bigger. And then, eventually you get a water hose like a fire truck water hose. And it just takes hardly any time to fill that swimming pool up. So invest in yourself, and that will pay dividends for you every year for the rest of your life. And you don't really have to worry too much about it, because the more valuable you are, the more valuable you are. And more and more people will want to see you. Want to use the skill sets that you bring to the table, and so you're going to have a lot better opportunities in the future if you invest in yourself. So I think those 8 tips are pretty good. So which ones are you guys? Maybe is there one that you think is like the top one? Or is there one that you go, I don't agree with that one, right? Let me know in the comments. Let's chat about that. Let's see here. What do we got? I'm going to back up here. So Rust bought some URI today. I'm not sure what that is. I'll have to look that up. And I will do that here in a minute. I'm going to write that down. So I've got URI, and then I've also got Pat's question about income investments. So I think that'll be fun to talk about too. Ex-Dividend Dad has bought Microsoft, UNH, Elevance Health, APH, which is Amphenol. I think Amphenol. I forget how to say it. Hold on. Amphenol Corporation. Yeah, those are good buys, man. Amphenol went down again today. Looks like. Looks to be. Looks to be well positioned in buy territory, so that's good. Yeah, those are all good buys, man. Looking good. Yeah, I think let's see. Just to be more specific, I have Microsoft as a buy. United Health, I have as a buy. Elevance Health, I have as a buy. I'm just looking them up individually here. And what's the other one? Amphenol I have as a buy as well. So, yeah, I have all four of those as a buy. So, those are great calls, man. Good job. So, Fast Eddie here uses – oh, and you can actually see them there. That's good. Let's see here. Let me get back to here. So, Fast Eddie uses every dollar. Yeah, that's good. I tried out YNAB and every dollar at the same time, but it's been a long time ago. Okay, it was 2016. Why I remember that date, I don't know, but I was using some other tool and it was going away, and I needed a different tool. Maybe it was Mint or not Mint. What was the other one? Quicken, maybe? I don't know. I was using something else. And it's been so long ago, I don't even remember what it was. And for whatever reason, it was going away, or it was going to be just not usable for me. So I needed another tool. I looked at online and came up with a list of budgeting tools. Ended up with wanting to research further every dollar as well as YNAB. I actually ran them parallel for about 3 months. I used the free version of every dollar, and then I used YNAB for a 3-month period of time. The philosophies are different between the two. It was also really early on with every dollar, and some of the math wasn't even working right. So I would send them, just notes about, this doesn't add up correctly. This doesn't add up correctly. And they were very appreciative of that. But at the end of the day, I needed it to work, right? So, but the main thing was the philosophies are different. And, maybe we could talk about that at some point. It would take me a little while to explain it. And I'm not sure if your eyes will glaze over as we talk about it. But I think the philosophy of YNAB is once you get it, once you understand the philosophy, a lot of people struggle with YNAB because they don't understand the philosophy of it. But once you get the philosophy, I think it works really, really well. But every dollar is a good program too. It was just early on in the process. So, but you're right. It is also free. So that's a good thing too. So Rust here says, never use buy now, pay later, unless it's a car or a house. Yeah, this is good advice. I remember a long time ago, man, we used to live in Indiana, and I remember we borrowed money for something. It was something that we really shouldn't have been borrowing money for. I don't know. It was like furniture or electronics. It was something like that. And we had, done this same as cash, right? It's like 6 months, same as cash, 12 months, same as cash, 9 months, same as cash, something like that. And that last day, I almost forgot about it. And the way that thing works is if you, if you miss that paying it off in that 6 month, 9 month, 12-month window, and if you're 1 day late, then you owe all of the interest for that whole period because you broke the terms of the deal. So I had to actually take off work and physically go there and write a check for that thing, and it was close to paying a lot more for whatever that was than it was worth. So yeah, buy now, pay later. Unless it's I'm not even in the same thought there on a car. I know that a lot of people have loans on cars, but I think too that we get in this rut where we think we need a nice car. Well, at the end of the day, you earn a nice car, right? It's not that you need one. Anyhow, that's so I think house for sure. Rental property, I'm fine with that, or any kind of investment property. If it could be land, it could be something like that. So yeah, I'm not opposed to borrowing money for those kinds of things. I think there's a lot of people, and I'm going to get off this here in a minute, but it's my soapbox, so I want to stay on it for a second. There's a lot of people who borrow money for cars and then continually borrow money. So every 3, 4, 5 years, they are, moving out of that vehicle into another vehicle. And guess what? It's almost like they have this car payment that stays with them for the rest of their lives. And I would just say, try to get out of that rat race, man. Try to get away from that. If you can at all swing it, get something that is reliable, but maybe it's not the cool, nice car. Maybe it's a 10 grand vehicle, right? Save up your 10 grand, buy a 10 grand vehicle. And, our first vehicle was a Volvo station wagon. And, no, I take that back. My wife had a vehicle when we got married, and there was a note on it. There was a loan on it. We couldn't afford another vehicle, but we were both, working. So we borrowed a vehicle from her parents for about a year, maybe something like that. And then they needed that vehicle back. So we were kind of stuck and ended up buying a Volvo station wagon. It was the ugliest yellow color that you've ever seen. We nicknamed it baby poop because it was the color. If you've ever changed a newborn baby's diaper, it was that color. It was that, I don't know. It was just a deep yellow, brownish yellow. It was an ugly car. And I thought, okay, we'll buy this. We'll use it for 6 months. We'll get rid of it and get something else. We had that car for several years, and it helped us, get to the place where we could save money. And then I sold that car, traded it in, and we bought a brand new, actually, vehicle. One of the few brand new vehicles I've ever bought, actually. So that's another thing is I usually buy, 3-year-old vehicles, something like that. But how do we get off on that? I'm not sure. Yep. Never never use buy now, pay later unless it's a car. And I don't agree with the car piece, but it is what it is, man. We all have our own thoughts. Good. Fast Eddie. Of course, with your handle there, Fast Eddie is like a car dealer, man. He's a car salesman. It's I don't remember where I got that from. Maybe off Barnaby Jones or something from years ago. But yeah, Fast Eddie, pay cash for a car now. You only pay cash for a car now. That is great, man. I agree with you. Pat does the same, paying cash for a car. Oh, Shannon hasn't had a car loan in 5 years. That is fantastic, man. How does it feel? I mean, it feels great, doesn't it? I pay cash for mine. Yeah, good deal. So Fast Eddie also buys cars that are 3 years old. Avoid buying new ones to take that big hit. Yeah, I agree. Number one, Shannon says number one is the most important, and just for everybody's benefit, number one is live below your means. I think you may be right, man. That is a really important important one. It's almost hard to get started without that one. So El Dynamico is living well below his means, about $1,600 a month, not including the amount that I invest per month. Yeah, that's pretty low, man. I wish I could live on $1,600 a month. I mean, I probably could, but I don't want to. And at my age, and we've prepared well for retirement. I don't have to. I can live the life that I want to live without being I'm not a miser. We tend to be frugal. I'm not a miser, but I'm also not a spendthrift. I don't buy things just to buy things. I don't buy a new truck every year. I have a truck. My truck's a 2020, and here we are in 2025. So it's the year number 5, and I bought that truck in 2022. So anyway, you guys don't care about that, but that's what I do. But yeah, Antonio, I wish I could live on $1,600 a month. Billy here is saving 65 to 70% of his income. That is phenomenal. I try to have all my money working for me. Yeah, that is fantastic, Billy. That's good stuff. And you're living overseas, so your expenses are probably lower as well. So, dude, that is incredible. And there's nothing I can say about that. That is great stuff. Fast Daddy says number 1 and number 4. Number 1 is living below your means. Number 4 is avoiding high interest debt. And I think, because if you're not doing number 4, then you're really putting pressure on number 1. Because if you have a lot of high interest debt, you're having to service that debt. And that's taking food off the table. It's not helping you pay your electric bill. You're paying high interest debt. So I think those kind of go hand in hand. So I can certainly see where you're coming from, Fast Eddie. So Pat says he agrees with all but number 6, which is don't spend your profits, reinvest them. At some point when you get older, it's nice to pull some profits to help enjoy life. Yes, Pat, I think that's a great ad. And I think this really is coming from, the place where people are actually building their nest egg. And but you are right, man. When you get to our age, I think it's okay to spend some of those profits because, we've earned it. And so I think that's a good ad. I'm 100% in your court on that one, man. Oh, yeah, and this is El Dynamico. Oh, yeah, and I need to say that I live on a fixed income, Social Security disability, and a small U.S. Army pension. Gotcha. Well, man, you are doing so well. I really, I'm proud of what you've done, man. You are living below your means, and, you're on this fixed income. You're investing, and, dude, it doesn't get any better than that. So, I just say keep on the good fight, man. You're doing so well. Jim Betts has made it to the program, man. We can I don't know, we can like sign off now because Jim's here. We're going to be making payments on a new roof in April. Sorry to hear that. Or maybe I'm not. Maybe it's time for a new roof, and that's the best way to do it, is to do it when it needs to be done. My wife wants to take her RMD, that's a required minimum distribution, plus to pay for it. but I'm hesitant to tap into the IRAs because who knows what the future will bring. Yeah, I hear you, Jim. I guess the question I have is if it's a required minimum distribution, then it's going to be required, right, to come out of the. Maybe I'm not reading that right. My wife wants to take her RMD plus. So you're saying it's the plus part maybe that you're struggling with, because the required minimum distribution is going to have to come out anyway. And if it comes out, it's going to go into, let's say, an after-tax account. And then if you're going to pay for the roof with one after-tax dollar versus another after-tax dollar, I'm not sure that really would concern me at all. But maybe it's the plus part of this that she's wanting to pull more than the required minimum distribution. And I think I would agree with you. If you've got the money sitting aside in other after-tax accounts that you can use to pay for the roof, I would do that. I mean, why pay the taxes before you have to? So who knows what the future will bring? You got that right, man. Gotta think about risk all the time, right? So Rust Moments, he's 20. Man, I didn't realize you were that young, dude. I'm 20 and I got like no expenses, so I save and invest 90% of my income as of right now. Dude, you are killing it, man. I really, I'm impressed with that. So yeah, keep that up as long as you can. And, have you ever seen the chart? And maybe, in another broadcast, I'll share it with you. It's like there's two brothers. One brother starts out and invests, I think, 3 or 4 or 5 years, something like that, with $2,000, and then they stop investing for the rest of their life. Then the other brother picks up in that 5th or 6th year, whenever the other brother stops, and they do $2,000 a year for the rest of their life till they get to be like 65. The brother who invested early on still has more money when they're 65 than the brother who invested for the period after the first 5 years until age 65. The magic of compounding is real. And so, dude, you are killing it, man. Good stuff. HLF breaking out since the big beat, and 5 funds bought shares that insiders bought shares at highs of 1065. Yeah, I'll have to look at that. I'm not sure what HLF is. I will add that to the list here. HLF. We might have talked about that before. Hey, Russ, welcome to the program, dude. Long time no talk. Indy, yes, sir. Last calculation, we are saving 32% of our income. Dude, that is incredible. So 32%, that is, you're knocking it out of the park, man. You're going to do super well. Man, 32%. That's a killer. You're doing great, man. Keep that up, and you are going to be the cat's meow. I don't know where that came from. What does that mean anyway? So Pfizer PE since earnings is 18, being cut in half from 38 with a 43% dividend. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure I care much for Pfizer, but we'll take a look at that as well. I'm much more a fan of Merck in that space, but I think Pfizer is too connected to these injections. What are they called? The virus stuff. Anyway, I guess maybe these anti-inflammatories are causing a little mental problems for me. I don't know. The goal of our lives. This is going to be good. The goal of our lives shouldn't be to hit a number on a spreadsheet, right? Yes, that is correct. The goal of our lives is to be productive. It is to be loved, and it is to love, right? I think those are really the goals, at least for me. So So it's really more for me about relationships. But I also know that if I love my family, then I need to do everything possible I can to prepare their future for them as best I can. Right? Maybe not totally, but I came from a background that we didn't. I didn't get any. What is that called? When people leave you money, I didn't get any. Any. Man, why am I having trouble with language tonight? I didn't have anybody leave me any money when they died. So, matter of fact, I ended up having to pay for my mom's funeral. So, when my parents died, it actually cost me money. There was no, um, nobody gave me money so when I look at that, it really has given me a challenge to not be that for my kids. If I love them, if I truly love them and I have the ability to do so, I want to prepare them for the future. I don't want to be a burden to them. I can probably do that too much, right? I can probably give them too much, and then they just don't have to work for things, and it's just not a good thing. But I don't think I'm in danger of that. It's not like we're worth $1 billion or whatever. But if I can help my kids, if I can make sure my wife is taken care of, if assuming she outlives me, then I think that's part of the purpose of life. It's about loving and being loved. And sorry to be philosophical, but you started it, Russ. You can get Social Security and make all you want in the stock market. Yeah, I think they're changing that a little bit. It's a little harder. I'm not taking Social Security yet. I'm not old enough. First of all, I retired at 55, and I'm not yet 60. So I do plan to start taking Social Security unless something changes around 62, because I can then take it and invest that money. I do plan to pay tax on that money, because I don't think they're going to let people who have a lot of income outside of Social Security end up not paying tax on their Social Security. So anyway, that's kind of my plan. I'm not laser focused on that yet, because it's not quite time yet. But let's see, Jim has got some words of wisdom here. The wife and I both get Social Security and live below our means. But weird thing is, you can't put money in an IRA if you're collecting Social Security. So yeah, I didn't realize that, Jim. That's a good point. Let's see here, Jim. If you work a part-time job and you're in our collecting Social Security, after your full retirement age, you can't put money in an IRA equivalent to what you have made as income. All right, we're getting way deep into this stuff. So yeah, Christopher, you're right, man. At 20, he'll be well off by his mid-40s. I agree with that. I think Shaping is doing an incredible job. All right, looking at SCVL and BTU, since shares are oversold, which are pinch plays, and is upside to the 20-day on both. So this is, so I would say that Michael probably does not agree with number 5, which is focused on long-term investments. But let's take a look at those as well. Let me see how much time we got left. Oh, we're good. So SCVL and BTU. And again, I don't know either one of those. Yeah, that's right. I agree. Russ, man, is killing it. All right, so here's some more info from Jim. Required distribution she will take regardless, but she wants to pull more. Okay, that makes a lot of sense to me, and I would agree with you, dude, on that. I'd rather make the payments. I got you, which my Patty will cover, so I'm not losing. Yeah, I tend to disagree with that. Depends on what the interest rate is on the payments. If the interest rates are low, then I might consider it. But I think I would just as soon pay it with after tax dollars if I had them, and move on with life. I mean, life's too short to wonder if I paid my roof bill yet. You know what I mean? So that's kind of the way I look at it. But I certainly understand where you're coming from, and I understand the dilemma. So let me know what you guys end up doing on that at some point. Let's see. Yeah, and thanks, Fast Eddie. Inheritance. I don't know why I was not able to think of that word, but yeah, BTU is coal, and think the company bought another coal company. Yeah, I'll have to look it up. BTU is British Thermal Unit, which is the way coal is actually measured. And you can have low BTU coal, high BTU coal, and it sounds like whoever this company is got to pick that as a ticker symbol. So that's pretty cool. In 2003, it's my buddy Russ. Warren said, when you get to be his age, you will be successful if the people you hope will love you do love you. I love that. That's a great way to say that. You can't buy love, and the only way to be loved is to be lovable. Well, maybe I should be more lovable. No, that's good, man. Warren always has a way with words, and that's why he is who he is. That's why people love him so much. So, okay. Yeah, since this is above a live stream, I'll build on. You are welcome to build on my point anytime, brother. Yeah, so AT&T is making new highs, and that's great. It's not showing up well in my tool, so I'm not really sure what's going on there. But you made a good call there, Michael. Yeah, AT&T is making a new high almost every day. So, Michael, do you mind telling me roughly how old you are? I didn't realize you were taking Social Security. Started going up last year, and guess paying taxes could be why my check has gone up. Yeah, could be. Let's see. I got you, Michael. 68. Man, that is awesome. So it's good to have you on the program, man. So we're in the similar boat there. So let's start looking at some of these things that you guys have wanted to know about. First of all, we're going to look at income investments. My buddy Pat wants to know what's my favorite income investments, and I will tell you that I've added some ETFs to the to my program, and one thing that there's going to be some in here that are covered call ETFs. I'm not a huge fan of covered call ETFs, mainly because they limit upside potential, but they do maximize current income. So if you are looking to maximize current income, I don't think it's horrible to pick one of those current call ETFs and put a portion of your portfolio in there. Some that you might consider is IDVO, which is an international. JEPQ might be one to think about. And also, is it DIVO? I don't see it right off the top of my head here, but I think it's DIVO is another one to consider. So if you are not, DIVO, if you are not worried about the future, giving away future growth, and you're looking for current income, I don't think those are bad investments to be in. But don't go like whole hog. Don't just have it be a part. Another one you might think about is SCHD. It's actually, I think, in a good spot now, and it's got a pretty nice dividend yield, about 3.5%. So I think, Pat, those would be the ones I would consider. I would look at IDVO, DIVO, JEPQ, and maybe SCHD as well. And then you might want to pick some individual companies who have a nice dividend yield. I'm going to sort my spreadsheet by dividend yield here and give you some thoughts. There's going to be these tobacco companies like British Tobacco, Altria Group. Those are pretty high dividend yields, but I also think they've run a lot. And so I'm not sure this is the best time to get in those. I tell you, my favorite income stock at this point, even now, even still, is Hess Midstream, HESM. HESM is the ticker symbol. 6.9% is the current rate on that. Looking at companies like Verizon, I know all the issues with Verizon, their debt load, the market that they're in, the capital they have to spend. There's a lot to that, but it's a 6.3% dividend yield. Realty Income doesn't look too bad from a yield perspective, 5.5%. So, I think there's a lot of companies out there that, if you mix in, these companies with these ETFs, I think you could come up with a pretty good, well-diversified portfolio of income stocks that would get you where you wanted to be. I would, Pat, also, just say, I forget if you're the one using every dollar or what you use for budgeting, but, just decide what you want to spend money on, and, set your income needs for that. And, when you got these higher dividend yield investments, bringing that in, and then whatever's left, I would still continue investing in a normal way, in a growth focused way, using dividend stocks, but in a growth focused way. So that's the way I would do it. But I'm not everybody's cup of tea either. So. All right, Shannon, have a good evening, my friends. Good. Glad to have you on here. And Russ says here, if anyone is wondering, I've listened to every Berkshire annual meeting since 1994 twice. And he has a spreadsheet with almost 1,000 entries. I don't remember all of this. So, Russ, what can I say, man? It's you just sound like a really, it sounds like a guy that you just really want to hang out with, because it's like really exciting stuff, man. I'm sure your wife is just really enthralled with that. No, I'm joking, man. That's really great. It's well worth the time, I'm sure. But it'd be really cool maybe if you took those, what'd you say, 1,000? Those 1,000 entries, and if you could collapse them into like the top 10 or something like that, that would be really cool. That might be a great video for you, dude. You can thank me later for that. I'm sure it's going to take a lot of time, though. Yeah, El Dynamico JEPQ is a awesome covered call ETF. Yeah, if you're into that kind of thing, then that's the way to go. All right, let's look at a couple of other things here. Let me get this where you guys can see it. How's that? So we are going to go to here, and we're going to go to there, and we are going to go to here. All right, let's look at some of these stocks you guys are talking about. URI. You are me, URI, United Rentals. Gotcha. Yeah, I know who that is. They're in the industrial sector. They have a borderline safe dividend. They were down 3.8% today. I don't know what happened. Founded in 1997. It's an equipment rental company. Payout ratio is not bad. Net debt to capital is a little high. It's about 60%. Yeah, there's not enough dividend history for me to make a call on this one. Just looking at some of the financial data here. Earnings per share is growing, so that's not bad. It's kind of flat here the last couple of years. Free cash flow looks good. Shares outstanding, they're buying back a lot of shares, actually. 96 million in 2015 to 67 million now. Return on invested capital is running about 16%, so it's not too bad. Interest coverage is yeah, I think their debt is probably more of the issue for me than anything else. But you know, it's not a terrible thing. I think the debt is the reason that it is ranked a 50 dividend safety score. They've got a credit rating of BB plus. So those of you who aren't into credit ratings, S&P credit rating, the anything that is below a BBB minus is considered non-investment grade. They call it in Simply Safe Dividends junk grade. It is junk bonds. So anything that is BBB minus and higher, up to AAA, is considered investment grade. There are some companies or some funds that can't invest in companies that aren't at least investment grade. So United Rentals is not investment grade. Their bonds would be considered junk. And but I mean, it's like one rung below. So they when you go from BBB minus to BB plus, that's one rung down the pipe there. So anyway, those are my thoughts on that. Let's move along here. HLF. Herbalife. I've looked at them before as well. Again, credit rating of a B, which is junk status. They don't pay a dividend. They stopped paying it in 2014. Earnings per share has declined. It has been flat, I guess, the last few years. They have bought back shares. They got a decent return on invested capital. Let's see what their debt. It looks like they've got zero net debt, and but the interest coverage is not very good either. Yeah, I'm not. It doesn't do anything for me. Herbalife is not something that I want to look further into. Pfizer was one that we talked about. It's got a 75 dividend safety. Their dividend yield is pretty attractive at a 6.45%. Let's take a look here. Payout ratio is in the mid 50s, so that's not terrible. Net debt is not bad. Their dividend growth is pretty slow, but it is very consistent. I mean, take a look at this in 2008, 9, and 10. In 9 and 10, they dropped their dividend, and they've grown it consistently, but at a very slow rate since then for the last 14 years. See if there's anything cool in here. You can obviously stop this video on the replay if there's something that you want to look at, but the return on invested capital is just not very good. 10%. That would be kind of right at their cost of capital. So if their return on invested capital is roughly the same as their cost of capital, they're not making any long-term profits. Interest coverage, again, doesn't look good to me. So I'm not a huge fan of Pfizer. Financially, their products, their management, I'm just not a huge fan of Pfizer. Let's take a look at Merck. just for grins. They have a 90 dividend safety rating, A plus credit rating. Here, let's look back at. They've got an A credit rating, A plus for Merck. But the dividend yield is lower at 3.55%. But their financials are going to look a lot better. Their dividend growth is faster. Let's take a look at some of these financial numbers. Their earnings payout ratios are in the 36% range. So I just like their financials better. Return on invested capital around 28%. So if you got a 10% cost capital, then you're pulling in some long-term value. Interest coverage is very nice at almost 18. So, I think Merck just has a better financial picture for me. So anyway, I won't charge you for that. That's free. SCVL is one that came up. Shoe Carnival. I've seen them. They have they're unrated. We've got a 2.4% yield. Wow, they are growing their dividend like crazy. Look at this. It didn't grow much at all from 2014 to 2021. And then all of a sudden, they have just been blowing the doors off of it. 22% a year. Wow. Let's see what the earnings payout ratio is doing. It has grown since 2022. But it looks like it's going to be kind of flat. So one thing to keep in mind is that if their dividend is growing and their earnings payout ratio is growing, that means that they are using the earnings of the company to increase the payout. They are not growing the business to increase the payout. They are paying out earnings that are already existing in the company to you. And so I'm not sure that's a great strategy long term. But, again, at 19%, that's not a terrible number. So I don't have any issues with that. Return on invested capital is around 10%. That's not altogether great. Interest coverage ratio, though, is incredible at 202. So, yeah, I mean, Shoe Carnival, if you want to invest in it, I think that's great. It's not anything that I don't know. I don't invest in apparel companies. I don't invest in Nike. I don't invest in I can't think of any of them now, but I don't invest in the apparel companies just because they can come in and out of favor so quickly. So I don't know. That's just me, though. BTU, we finally get to the British Thermal Unit, which is Peabody Energy Company. They, again, are not rated by Simply Safe Dividends. They were up 2% today. That's fantastic. They have some pretty erratic dividends. I mean, take a look at this. 2015, they dropped their dividends significantly. And then 16 and 17 went to zero. Then it grew back to 50 cents or so, then back to zero. And they are starting to grow it again. And so it looks like it's growing a lot. But at the end of the day, it is very small compared to what it has been in the past. Earnings payout ratio looks fine. Return on invested capital it's okay. It's pretty erratic, though. It goes from positive to negative. And I mean, obviously, that's why they stopped paying dividends. So they were losing money. So, yeah, their interest coverage looks fine. Net debt's zero. So, it looks a little erratic to me. So I think I'm going to stay away from that at this point. So let's see. Catch back up with you guys here. So there's a question from my buddy Russ. Here, let me get this off the screen. Let's see. Does anyone worry that the covered call ETFs haven't been battle tested through a prolonged bear market or recession? Yeah, that's a good point. And they have not. So, but what do I think they would do? So in a bull market, you're basically giving up value that you could have gotten if you were long in the stock, right? So if they're doing covered calls on the stocks that they own, those stocks are getting called away when they reach the strike price, right, for those covered calls. If they're issuing covered calls to get income, they are then open on the downside. So the overall value of the ETF will come down. They will continue to get income from the covered calls, but the stock will never get called away as it continues to decline in value. So unless it bounces around. But so yeah, I think that's a great point, Russ. I think in the long run, if you hit not in the long run, but if you hit a bear market and it's 20% move and it's a prolonged thing, you could really get hurt in these covered call funds, I think. So that's a great point. So URI, that's United Rentals, was going to buy HEES, but now another company made a higher offer for HEES. What is HEES? Oh, H&E Equipment Services. Okay. Well, they also have a poor credit rating. So maybe combined they might work well together. But it sounds like somebody beat them on the thing. So that's not fun. Let's talk about Hertz Rental. Okay, Hertz Rental bought them. And then United Rentals paid a $68 million termination fee. That's no bueno. Jim says, I wish Warren would find somebody else to proofread his letters to shareholders. I'm tired of collecting all of his spelling errors. Let's see. All right. Yeah, these are all good points here. We have gone over by 7 minutes. I'm going to see if there's anything that yeah, I think now is a good place to cut this out. So man, I have enjoyed our time. It's good to be back, and I'm glad to be walking better. And maybe I will video the bees tomorrow as I feed them. And it was really funny today. I got to see, because I actually feed them honey, and as they were eating that honey, you could actually see them drinking the honey as the sun was shining on it. It was really, really cool. Maybe I'll try to video something like that and share that with you guys on the next one. So with that said, I'm going to get off of here, get out of your hair. I appreciate you joining me. Have a great week, and we will see you on the next one.